right now. You see, but Jesus in his ultimate knowledge and knowing everything, he says, you know what? He's not dead, but he's asleep. He's asleep. He's asleep because he knew that his Father would answer his prayers. He knew that God would give him the power that he needed to raise Lazarus from the dead. You see, he knew what the end result is going to be. Now we can make better decisions in our lives if we know what the end result's going to be. Amen. Amen. We can choose the best choices. We can make the best choices if we knew what the end result is going to be. You see, I wouldn't have all these struggles that I have if I knew what the end result would be. Come on, now be real with yourself. You wouldn't be been with that person if you knew that at this time, if you knew that at the end, that it would end with some hurt. Amen. It would end with some disappointment. You wouldn't have started in that career if you knew that you would end up being fired and you knew that you would never be able to work in that career again. You see, we don't know the end results, but Jesus, he knows the end results. And we have to understand that we will never understand God's ways. We will never, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much time you spend trying to figure things out, we will never know the fullness of Jesus. We will never know the fullness of his word. You see, God's ways are inscrutable. You see, they're not easily understood. The Bible talks about them as being mysterious to us. You see, we don't know how God does things. We don't, sometimes some of the things that he does to us don't make sense. You blessed me, Lord. I was messing up, but you chose to bless me, Lord. Why did you choose to bless me, Lord? Why did you choose to save me? We don't understand everything that we're going through. But we have to learn the third thing is that God is a God, Jesus is a God that cannot fail. All right. You see, we serve a God who is a God that when he starts out in his purposes will be fulfilled. You see, some people can say one thing, but they can plan it out. They say, you know, at the end, this is going to happen. But things will change. You see, situations will switch on them. You see, they will never get to that point. But we have to understand that God cannot fail. In John 11, chapter, verse 11, it says, after he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. You see, I'm encouraged today because Jesus, in his ultimate knowledge, you see, he knows where I'm at right now, and he had a plan. You see, he said, I'm going there to wake him up. You see, I'm going to make a difference in his life. I'm going to meet him where he's at right now. You see, I'm going to bless him. I'm going to wake him up. I'm going to raise him from the dead. But we have to first understand, that from a personal aspect, during our wait, there are some things that we have to consider. Well, while we're waiting, there's some things that begins to happen. We just think about Lazarus while he was waiting. While he was waiting, you see, Lazarus died. They had locked him up in a tomb. They had wrapped him up. They had prepared him for his death. They had prepared him for not ever coming back again. They had written him off and said that he was gone, that he was dead. And let me tell you about Lazarus' situation at that time. It stunk. And sometimes it happens to us while we're waiting on our God, while we're waiting on our Father, while we're waiting on Jesus to show up in our lives. It gets a little stinky in our situation. You see, things are not the way we want them to be right now. You see, our nose turned up. You see, it's an unpleasant experience today. Come on, you've been in there. You're waiting for God to come, but you're in this situation and you don't like what's going on around you. You don't like how people are treated. You don't like how people are looking at you. You don't like what's going on. It stinks to you. You see, you don't like it. You see it, and something that you like, you want it to get far away from you. Amen. And we have some people try to cover it up. You see, you're stinking it up. You can't cover it up. They just spray some things around. You see, they try to let you think, well, it's going to be all right. Yeah, I know it's going to be all right, but right now, is stinky in my situation.
Yeah.
And if you ever been in that situation before where things are just not working out like you want them to work out, you see, things are just unpleasant in your life. You, like Lazarus, may have been in a stinky situation.
Yeah.
You see, and in this situation, when you're in your lowest point, when you're in this situation, you begin to get isolated by people. People don't want to be around you with your stinky attitude.
All right.
People don't want to be around you with your stinky ways. People don't want to be around you when you don't got nothing. People don't want to be around you when you're at your lowest point. You see, they isolated him. Guess what? They isolated. They put a rock in front of the cave that his body was stored in. Said, you know what? He's dead. It's over with for him. Let's lock it away. And you see, sometimes people have done that to us. They locked us away. They've written us off. They said that you were never going to make it. They said that you don't have a chance. They say that you will never get out of your current situation. They said that you will never amount to anything. They isolated you and they locked you up.
All right.
And left. But guess what? I'm so encouraged today because Jesus, he said before they even locked me up, before I even got into my stinky situation while I was yet still sick, but before I even died, he said that I'm coming to wake him up.
All right.
I'm coming to bring life back to that dead situation, you see.
Right.
And when we look around, you see some things in our life seem dead, amen.
Right.
And God needs to allow some things in your life to die. You see, we don't like that. You see, we don't want our ways to die out. We don't like our acts. I want to act the way I want to act. I want to talk the way I want to talk. I want to do my things my way. But those things have to die.
All right.
And while we wait, when those things die, we have to first understand that Jesus, that in his love, that he's coming. He's coming for us. So we found today that Jesus, he got to him. He went on his journey. He went on his dangerous journey. You see the disciples didn't even want to go. But Jesus in his love, he don't let nothing hold him back. You see, the disciples were scared. They said, you know, them people trying to stone you. What you trying to go back to? And you still want to go. He says, you know what? I have to go wake up Lazarus. That makes me feel good that, you know what, no matter what the danger is, no matter what he has to go through, no matter what he may have to go through and endure, he loves me enough.
Yes, he does.
He loves you enough to go through it.
Yes, he does.
Anyway.
Yeah.
To get stoned, to fight the chance. He loved me anyway. He's gonna come on. He went on ahead and he did what they thought that he shouldn't have done.
All right.
And when we get there, we find that Jesus' presence, when Jesus comes around, when Jesus shows up on the scene, his presence benefits everybody.
All right.
His presence will benefit us all. You see, it benefited Mary. You see, they were sobbing, they were sad. They was in a situation where they had lost all of their hope. But when Jesus came, you see, Jesus brightened up their situation. Amen.
Right.
And let's not even forget about Lazarus, the main character in this story. At this time, so Jesus, he waited 2 days. Lazarus died. So by the time Jesus got to him on his journey, it took 2 extra days. So 4 days, Lazarus died, dead in his cave. Dead, isolated for 4 days, stinking. For 4 days. But when Jesus came to him, you see, Jesus has the ability to speak to our situations.
Yes, Lord.
He has the ability to say some things in our lives, and when he says things start to happen. You see, changes begin to be made when Jesus begins to speak in our lives. So when you're thinking about your life, when you're thinking about that situation, you could be sad right now. If Jesus speaks, or when Jesus speaks, he can bring joy to your situation. You see, you can be hurting in your life right now. You can be going through right now. You can be on a low point, but when Jesus speaks into your life, you see, you'll